Hello and welcome to Threefold Herbal Healing. I'm herbalist Leo Sade. I help people who are sick and tired or feeling sick and tired, people that struggle with chronic conditions, grow their health from the roots up. Today, it's Valentine week, and I prepared a special video for Valentine for you. So this is a special one. Um, I'm talking about love and the earth. Usually, when we think about love, we think about romantic love, like Hallmark channel type of love. That is why in puberty, we focus all our attention on the other sex. But can you imagine how humanity would be if we only, every teen, each one of us, when they were teen, fell in love with the earth? How would the earth look like? In May 2023, the US Surgeon General Dr. Vivek Murthy issued a report that drew attention to an epidemic that affects one of two American adults, so 50% of adults Americans. Half of us are lonely. In adolescence, the numbers are even higher. 60% of teens feel lonely. Loneliness can be partially attributed to the modern lifestyle, including electronics, phone, TV, um, but also to our way of thinking in the modern lifestyle. And it has other causes too. So let's talk a little bit about a sense of belonging. Because until only about 100 years ago, people were born in the same village or the same town where they spent their entire life. Can you imagine that? I'm an immigrant. I come from the other side of the world. I can't imagine, um, living all my life in the same village as where I was born and raised, although my brother and sister do live in the same village. Multi-generational family units supported young parents and aging adults. And the wider community provided a network that was social but also spiritual support. A sense of belonging gave meaning to life, far more than one's feeling and troubles, but rather that of the whole, of the community, of the context, not just, being into your own. However, it was not only communities that held people together, it was the land too. People born in the same land as their ancestors before them for many, many generations. They had a profound experience of the land as a living being. They felt a feeling of belonging, of home with the land. If you would talk to them, they will not call this feeling falling in love with the land. But if you listen carefully to the language that they were using, they were talking or they were expressing deep love to the land. There was an attachment. A deep connection to the earth meant a life of service to the land that filled every day with meaningful work. Life were much harder in order to get food, to grow food, to take care of the farm animals, to just survive out of the land. It was much harder, but it has a lot of deep meaning embedded in it. We connect to the land in three different ways. Through the senses, through the head, through the nervous system. We observe the land, we think about the earth, we think about the universe. We are scientists when we think about nature as a natural phenomenon. In our gut, we digest the world. We create a new reality with our will, with our energy, with our hands, and with our gut. In the middle, in the chest, we let go of ourselves when we breathe out into the cosmos, and we bring in the cosmos when we breathe it in. With our heart, we love the land. It is like we lose ourselves in it and we become one with it. And then we retreat back inside into ourselves and feel ourselves separated. In olden time, it was the shaman, the healer, the holy man that embodied all three of those layers. As a scientist, he was the healer, the physician, the botanist who knew all the plants and had all this knowledge in his head. He was also an artist. He expressed himself in the world by creating art, masks, sculpture, ceremonies. He was a priest, creating ritual that expressed the sacred in nature and in life. So, as a priest, he spoke to the heart of people. So, he embodied the head, the will, and the heart. The shaman ability to build together all the three layers of wisdom allowed him to care for the well-being of all the individual in his community and of the community as a holistic being. He was a true holistic healer because he took care of the individual, of the community, and even of the environment beyond the community. He knew the field and the forest. He knew where to forage, and he also knew how to forage in a way that cared for the land. As part of developing the human consciousness to bird individuality, science was separated from art and it was separated from religion. This is not a bad development. This is what brought us all the things, the cars and the homes and the heating system and the food. And, we have much more abundance. That's what brought you your computer and your phone and books. There is so much that we gain through this development, but we had to separate science from art and from religion. And this separation led to the development of modern chemistry, physics, mathematics, and Western civilization as a whole, but it created also specialized fields, and we lost connection to the whole and started to have fragmented way of thinking, fragmented consciousness. Moving to the New World meant that people walked lands that were not their ancestral land. And when I'm talking about moving to the New World, is of course European coming to America. The main sentiment of the first people who came to America was not of homesteading or of caring for the land the way they had in Europe, because that was not their ancestral land. There was not, this connection didn't exist. So the main sentiment was that of conquering, owning, and exploiting. A one-sided relationship developed where we think about the land as a resource that we can buy and sell. And I experienced that very much when I was a farmer and I had this farm. And when I was asked in official correspondent to say who is the owner of the farm, I had a hard time writing that I'm owning the farm because the land was there before them, before I was there, and the land is still there. Nobody owns it. It owns us, maybe, but it's there. It's always been there, and it will always be. We are just temporary stewards. In his book, The Unsettling of America, which is a great book, and I highly recommend you dive into it. It's a lot, but it's worth the work. Wendell Berry writes, "The soil is the great connector of lives, the source of destination of all. It is the healer and the restorer and the resurrector by which disease passes into health, age into youth, death into life. Without proper care for it, we can have no community, because without proper care for it, we can have no life. Losing our capacity to create a reciprocal relationship with the earth means losing more profound sense of belonging to a place. We are lonely not just because we bury our head in our phones, but also because we turn our back to the whole. In her book Braiding Sweetgrass, Robin Wall Kimmer describes her childhood memories of offering gratitude to the places where she camped with her family on camping trips. She writes, I came to know that each place was inspirited, was home to others before we arrived and long after we left. We spend so much time in our head, where reality is analyzed and reduced to what we can see and measure with our senses. The fragmented mind creates an illusion of independence and isolation that leads to anxiety and depression. Is that something that you know? Is that a feeling that you recognize? However, everything you use comes from the earth. Therefore, you are never alone. Instead, you are part of a living tapestry of the planet we all call home. Meaningless, lonely lives are the root cause of mental diseases. Loneliness, depression, anxiety are rampant. I would even suggest that they are a major root cause of physical chronic diseases that are on the rise now, too. So, what will it take to wake us up? What will it take to make the change? A deep connection to the earth means life of service to the land filled with daily meaningful work. Do you feel like you live meaningful life? Do you feel like you care for the land? I invite you to consider how you can celebrate loving the earth this Valentine Day and every day of the year. I wish you a happy Valentine. I would love to hear your thought about what I just shared with you. I think um, it's a different way of thinking about this holiday and how we can celebrate it. Wishing you a good week. Bye.